A girl is rushed to the hospital after losing consciousness in a car accident. Unexpectedly, the attending doctor is her fiancé, whom she has never met. With just one glance, she falls for the man standing before her. She is Soo Jin-bae, a popular actress, but her family has arranged a marriage for her through a childhood betrothal. She originally thought that as long as she didn't attend the engagement party, the marriage would be called off. Unexpectedly, her mother informed her that the marriage had already been confirmed. Furious, she went street racing late at night. As a result, she accidentally got into an accident while trying to avoid other vehicles. Her destiny with Jo Shur-yoon quietly began at this moment. Just one look at him made her dream about him all night long. That night, in a daze, she sensed his presence again. She couldn't help but kiss him. Jo Shur-yoon's eyes widened in shock. Although he already knew that Soo Jin-bae was his fiancée, this sudden kiss left him unable to calm down. The next day when Soo Jin-bae woke up, she discovered the lipstick mark. Thinking back to that blurry scene from last night, she realized her first kiss had been taken. She should have confronted the male doctor, but after seeing Jo Shur-yoon's handsome face, she became infatuated. She even changed her mind and decided to win over this doctor. However, her usually admired beauty had no effect on Jo Shur-yoon. She shook her head and acted coquettishly, but Jo Shur-yoon pretended not to notice. Seeing him about to leave, Soo Jin-bae panicked.
昨天那人是你吧？
当时你正处于术后麻醉状态，意识不清，做出出格的事情很正常。我不怪你。
到底是谁做出出格的事啊？还怪我？哎，你等等！
She had never been treated like this. It was always her who rejected others. At this moment, her mother suddenly called and asked how she was getting along with Jo Shur-yoon. Only then did Soo Jin-bae realize that he was her fiancé. What would have been just a few days in the hospital with no further connection now sparked Soo Jin-bae's interest. To see what her fiancé looked like under his mask, she secretly followed Jo Shur-yoon to his office. She didn't expect that when she opened the door, Jo Shur-yoon was changing clothes. Although it was awkward, she couldn't help but want to look a bit longer. At this moment, a colleague's voice came from outside the door. Jo Shur-yoon quickly put on his clothes and pulled her aside. Fortunately, the colleague didn't notice them in the corner. When their eyes met, both their hearts unconsciously beat faster. Jo Shur-yoon hurriedly ushered Soo Jin-bae out.
快出去，让人看见影响不好。
Soo Jin-bae was rejected once again. She was about to get angry when she suddenly recalled her mother's phone call. Not only was she absent from the engagement party that day, but Jo Shur-yoon hadn't shown up either. Thinking about this made her feel indignant. She vented at her pillow for quite a while. She was a popular star. How could she be defeated by a mere doctor? To get revenge, she decided to first make Jo Shur-yoon fall in love with her, then cruelly dump him. But no matter what clothes she wore, Jo Shur-yoon remained like a wooden block in front of her, as if he had no interest in Soo Jin-bae at all. So Soo Jin-bae put on her mini skirt. When she walked into the office, she instantly caught Jo Shur-yoon's attention.
周医生，你饿了吗？要不要吃一点宵夜啊？
With her tactics, Jo Shur-yoon indeed put down his work and walked straight over. This made Soo Jin-bae nervously clench her fingers. However, when Jo Shur-yoon approached her, he pressed the light switch and declined her request to have a late-night snack together. This shattered her fantasy instantly. Being embarrassed time and again made her even more unwilling to give up. But what she didn't know was that Jo Shur-yoon was only pretending to be calm on the surface. When he found colleagues gossiping about her scandals, he would scold them to stop. He would also secretly investigate the truth behind the gossip. That night, a suspicious person came to the hospital. Jo Shur-yoon saw her lurking outside the ward and immediately had a colleague notify security. Hearing the knock, Soo Jin-bae opened the door to check. She ended up getting splashed with water by an anti-fan. Soo Jin-bae kept backing up, but fortunately Jo Shur-yoon blocked her in time. After security took the woman away, she thought Jo Shur-yoon would care about her. Unexpectedly, he blamed Soo Jin-bae, saying she had disrupted the hospital's order and demanded that she complete her discharge procedures as soon as possible. Only then did Soo Jin-bae realize that Jo Shur-yoon had been toying with her all along. A feeling of hurt welled up in her heart. She thought that after spending so many days together, they could at least be considered friends. But now he had this kind of attitude. She didn't want to humiliate herself like this anymore. Unexpectedly, her high heels suddenly broke. Jo Shur-yoon hurried over with concern, but she said nothing. She simply took off her shoes and walked out of the hospital barefoot. When she got home, she broke down and cried miserably. No one had ever humiliated her like this. Just then, someone suddenly knocked on the door. When she opened the door, the person standing there was actually Jo Shur-yoon.